earlier this week, Joe Marino and his network of Buffalo Bills aficionados and experts offered who they thought were the 10 most important Buffalo Bills to this team's future success, and so I'm seizing the opportunity to show up to the party uninvited. I'm not going to offer 10 players, though, but I am going to offer that were I to make a list of 10 players critical to the future success of our beloved Buffalo Bills, I would include TJ Sanders, Ed Oliver, and Matt Milano on that list, so long as that future does not extend beyond Matt Milano's current contract, which, of course, expires at the end of this season. Now, why is TJ Sanders such an important player to the Bills' near future, and not only its long-term development? I think we're going to see a lot of TJ Sanders this season. That's because even if we only take Brandon Beane seriously and not literally, when he told us that the Bills might have selected TJ Sanders with the 30th pick if Max Hairston had already been taken off the board, we'll have redeemed an indication that TJ Sanders possesses traits and skills consistent with those possessed by first-round selections. And if you don't play quarterback, and you're a first-round pick, you play a bunch as a rookie. And so it would seem to follow that TJ Sanders, for whom Brandon Beane traded up 15 spots from 56 to 41 in a package deal that saw the Bills send picks 56, 62, and 109 to Chicago for their 31st, 72nd, and 240th. That's their 41st, 72nd, and 240th picks. TJ Sanders is not joining the Bills as an Ed Oliver understudy. Sanders turns 22 on July 30th, and this 22-year-old rookie ain't been drafted to play 30% of snaps as a reserve. He's been drafted to share the field with Ed Oliver. And no, TJ Sanders will not be co-piloting the interior of the defensive line as an out-of-position nose tackle, but will be co-piloting the interior of the defensive line as a one-gapping, penetrating three-tech on both running and passing downs. How do I know that? I don't. I'm guessing. And I suppose, in a way, he isn't a three-tech who's going to be penetrating. He could be a nose tackle who's penetrating. He'll probably have to line up somewhere between the 0 and the 5, just like Ed will sometimes line up in the 0 or the 5. But suffice it to say that the style of play will resemble that of a penetrating three-tech, regardless of which gap into which he slots pre-snap. So anyway, I don't know that, obviously. I'm guessing. I'm making it up, but I'm not talking out of my ass. In the divisional against Baltimore this past season, the Bills blitzed either 13 or 14 or 15 times, depending on which statistical data platform you're querying, on Lamar Jackson's 31 dropbacks. So somewhere around 40 to 45% of the time, the Bills were blitzing when Lamar dropped back. That's a very high percentage. Against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, that blitz percentage on passing downs dropped to about 16%. 6 blitzes on 37 dropbacks by Patrick Mahomes. Now, what do I, Nick from New York, glean from these metrics? Do you glean, George? Glean? Not recently. The story these stats tell me is that McDermott and Babbage are totally down to blitz if they think they can cover your receivers man to man, mano a mano, heads up. Over the past 3 seasons, so under the defensive coordinatorship of Leslie Frazier, then Sean McDermott, and then Bobby Babbage, the Bills have blitzed roughly 25% of the time, which positions them somewhere in the middle vis-a-vis blitz frequency compared to the other 31 teams. But again, the Bills proved unafraid in blitzing a backfield of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but proved very afraid of blitzing a pass-catching core of Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and we can throw in DeAndre Hopkins for good measure. And the Bills proved that much more reticent to blitz once Benford went out with a concussion in the AFC Championship game, thus putting now Dallas Cowboys cornerback Kyer Elam on an island. But once more, the Bills are not afraid to turn up the heat on opposing quarterbacks when there is confidence in the secondary to hold up in coverage long enough for that blitz to get home. And so TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver, they got to get home. That makes them really important. That's why they're on the list. They're vital. If you wanted to tell me that TJ and Ed are more important than Bosa and Rousseau, I'd listen. And I'd listen because I'd be willing to rank TJ and Ed over Bosa and Rousseau insofar as the success of this defense is concerned in this upcoming 2025-26 season. But there's one more but here. Oliver and Sanders can really only succeed if Matt Milano is healthy. Remember I said the three names I'd include on the list are Sanders, Oliver, and Milano? Now, as I offered in an edition of Bills from a couple weeks ago, a healthy Matt Milano is a splash play making machine in coverage and as a blitzer. In that aforementioned edition of Bills, entitled 5 Unsexy Things I Want to See in 2025-26, a very unsexy title, I cited Milano's 38.1% win percentage on blitzes that he recorded during his All-Pro 2022 season. A 38.1% win percentage on blitzes that ranked him first in the league, with a substantial 6-point spread separating Milano's blitz productivity from he who ranked second. I did not write down he who ranked second's name. Milano is a really good blitzing linebacker. When he's healthy, actually, he's the best around. And if injuries no longer keep him down, Milano will serve as both the statistical beneficiary of Sanders and Oliver's one-gapping penetrations. He'll get a lot of tackles and sacks and pressures and hurries, blah, blah, blah. But he'll also serve as, like, the sun in the solar system that powers the whole damn operation. Since Milano, when spry and healthy, is so elite in coverage, in that same episode, I think I cited that he had 3 interceptions in 2022, which was either tied for the lead or second best in the league among linebackers, and also dropped 4 interceptions. So 7 times he got his hands on the ball and could have made a pick, and that was by far the most of any linebacker in the league in 2022. So anyway, there's evidence to substantiate that he's elite in coverage. He's elite in coverage, and he's elite as a blitzer. So opposing offenses have one hell of a persistent challenge when trying to account for Matt Milano. And since I have predicted about 3.5 minutes ago, that when TJ Sanders and Ed Oliver co-pilot the interior, they'll not be doing so as Maverick and Goose, but as Maverick and Iceman. If you don't know what that means, I can't help you. Ergo, Milano has a big job approaching this season, and the potential for one last big payday if he can do that job well. You see, Terrell Bernard isn't a great pass rusher, not at least insofar as PFF is concerned, as they rated him the 33rd best linebacker vis-a-vis his ability to generate sacks, hurries, and pressures when blitzing. That is, PFF gave Terrell Bernard a PRP score of 7.6 last season, which represents him as only half as good as PFF's top-rated pass rushing linebacker, that is, who was Atlanta's Caden Ellis. Caden Ellis received a PRP score of 15.6. Matt Milano. Terrell Bernard received a PRP score of 7.6. So, insofar as PFF is concerned, Terrell Bernard is only half as good at getting after the quarterback as Atlanta's Caden Ellis, who they say is the best in the league at doing so from the linebacker position. So, if someone's blitzing from the second level, there's a damn good chance it's Matt Milano. And the addition of TJ Sanders to the interior via that significant trade up in the second round of the draft indicates that Sanders is going to play much more than a reserve role. While in turn, all of this tips the Bills' schematic hand that it seems evident, or at least plausible, that Sanders and Oliver will be tasked with beating blockers into the backfield, id est not holding their ground against double teams, but instead one-gapping past, through, and around them. And so, relying on Matt Milano to supervise the spaces on the interior vacated by the defensive tackles sacrificing gap integrity for the sake of penetration. Sanders, Oliver, Milano. 3 players I think are as important as any other, not named Josh Allen, to the success of our beloved 2025-26 Buffalo Bills. You see the hat? I'm always wearing one. Always wearing a Bills hat. And as I like to say, until next time, go Bills, go Bills, go Bills.